Hey, this is Colin from Blackjack Apprenticeship, and I'm joined by Joe748 and Jkat. Jkat, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you, Colin? How are you, Joe? I'm down here in Aruba on spring break. Instead of out there playing beach volleyball, I'm doing this podcast with you guys. So.
Can you give us a quick shot of your balcony?
Yeah, here's the balcony. Here's what I'm missing out on:
Oh
sunset,
man,
beach volleyball, some windsurfing.
that's
You know, I,
awesome.
I got here yesterday, and instead of going right to the beach, I went right to the casino. Wasted no time, but yeah, nice down here.
Joe748, how are you doing?
Doing good. I'm feeling a little old today, but other than that, I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, let's just jump right into your story, Jkat. Tell us how you got interested in playing blackjack for profit.
At first it wasn't for profit. I was basically a ploppy, and played blackjack my whole life in casinos. And then around COVID, that February, right before everything kind of shut down, I was playing poker, local casino, and not a very good poker player. Busted out, got in my car. It was about midnight, and about to go home, go into my pocket, and I got two black chips. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go upstairs a high limit, put it all one hand of blackjack. And that one hand turned into like $12,000 in like a matter of an hour and a half. And then I said, wow, I'm great at this game. And, and then I proceeded to give that back in the next week and a half. Several trips back to the same casino, same high limit room. And then I realized that, you know what, I enjoyed myself. And if I'm going to do this, there's got to be some way to play better, to have maybe I don't know. I didn't know about advantage play back then, so I just found BGA. I found your video. I'm like, this guy looks like a straight shooter. He's not selling insurance. It doesn't look like a scam. And I signed up, and the next week everything shut down.
Oh wow.
Schools shut. I'm a teacher in New York City. Schools shut down. It was COVID. Everything shut down, so I had nothing to do but just train all day from step one, your very first video, and I progressed from there. And I had a good, I want to say, at least 3 or 4 months of training on the BGA app. It was all BGA. And
Mhm.
then once I got comfortable, the first couple of casinos started opening, and I just beeline right to them. Couldn't wait to get out there. But at that point, my test outs were 100% almost every time, so I was ready to go.
Yeah. So so you got a membership and you were testing yourself
Yeah,
out there.
right.
Um, was it hard to go from Ploppy to, because I'll tell you, many card counters are made from kind of your story, like win some money, lose some money. Usually it's the losing part where someone's like, that sucked. How do how do I have that
I had
never
I
happen
had
again?
great variance off the bat. And
Yeah.
it was so much easier to count in the real casino because the dealers were slower than the app. The app was like super speed.
Okay.
And in real life, I'm like, wow, this is easier. This is boring. And I had great variance right off the bat.
Hmm.
But then right off the bat, I was getting backed off. Like my first day in Connecticut, I got backed off. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? Pit boss came over. He said, we think you're an advantage player. I'm like, what the hell is that? He's like, you know what it is. I'm like, okay. He's like, you got to cash out and leave. And I great variance in the beginning, so that kind of jump started me right away. And
Do you
after that, I was hooked. I was amped up to go out even more and try it.
do
So
you think that early back off, or that first day back off, were you just winning too much, or do you think your act sucked, or do you think it was just casinos freaking out when they reopened from COVID?
I didn't have an act. I'm charismatic. I talk to everybody. It's hard for me to hide in plain sight. So I guess I remember you saying in one of your podcasts, don't just try to do everything just normal and be plain Jane in a casino, because then you're gonna stand out more than likely. So I smile at everyone and talk to everybody, but I didn't have a good story because I'm basically telling the guy I'm a school teacher, and then I'm betting like a few hundred a hand, and I'm not very believable. So no, I had no act. And I just remember running really, really great in the beginning. That my first couple of days, I won something like 6 or 7,000, only spreading 2 by 50 or 2 by 100 at the most.
That was your
And
top bet.
yeah, my top bet, TC6 was 2 by 100. And I maybe even less than that. I'm just basically red shipping, and I just had a great run. And I said, wow, this really works. And that just kind of got me going from there. I went back home. I memorized even more expanded deviations from there. And then more and more casinos opened up, and I was from there going everywhere.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So going everywhere. What
Well, in the Northeast, yeah.
okay.
You're just,
And
New York is nothing. There are no casinos in New York City. So Pennsylvania area, Philly, Catskills, Connecticut, basically just doing that entire circuit over and over and over again. And aside from my first back off, I was able to get a lot of hours in those other areas.
So you got early backoffs, but then you had plenty of places to play, it sounds like.
Just that one. Yeah,
one.
I got backed off right away in Connecticut. And I think it was because I ran so hot. And then after that, things kind of cooled down, and it just became like a normal grind, where I think my EV at the time was maybe like 30 an hour, not even. And I was pretty close to that, just red shipping. So I didn't get any heat. And that I got no heat for a long time, maybe about a year.
Wow. And how'd that year go?
And it went really well. It went really well. I was at EV for maybe about 30 or 40 an hour, and I got something like 300, 400 hours in my first year of counting. So it went pretty well. And then slowly, as I started ramping up, started green shipping, had a bigger bankroll, keep my ROR. I realized I was playing with too high of a risk of ruin, kind of like you did in the beginning.
Yeah.
I realized, well, I'm way too high. I want to be under 1%. I was playing at like a 4 or 5% risk of ruin, which is way too high. But I ran so good, I didn't really give a crap. And then just started getting some heat, and that my local bread and butter shop, kind of like the one you called your kids' college tuition. I had that same place, and then one day they just walked up and said, "Hey, you can play anything you want in the casino. No more blackjack." And like my heart just sank because I just loved that place, loved it. Then I went back in 2 weeks later with like full mask, hat, glasses, and I walk in. I'm like, they're never gonna recognize me. 5 minutes, they walk up to me. They're like, "Look, buddy, we like you. You know, we know you come here a lot just to go see shows, play poker, hang out with your friends." He goes, "This is the last warning. If you play one more hand of blackjack again, we're going to trespass you. If you come back, we'll arrest you." And then I didn't want to lose that place, because we go all the time with my friends to hang out. So
yeah,
that was it for that place. And then from then I just started going around the area, driving around. But you know, the first time that your local place hits you, it's rough. I know on the chat, in the BGA chat, when people are like, "Oh, just burned through my local spot, my local shop," and yeah, it is rough.
Yeah. No one likes getting fired.
No, I felt like I just looked at her. I was like, "No, I'm sorry."
After that first back off, did you notice that the rest of the casinos nearby backed you off a lot quicker, or was it?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Then I realized that they must be flyering me around the area. So I would kind of just make the rounds, like hit one place for the entire day, and then go somewhere else. But I would play until they back me off. Like I wouldn't, like Colin said, I wanted to be a maximizer from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to skin the sheep from the very beginning and just make them back me off. So I didn't like play an hour here and leave. I played the max until I got backed off, and then the back offs just kept coming and coming and coming, and it got harder and harder for me to get hours in the entire area.
So where did you take things from there then?
So from there, I did my first road trip, which wasn't really that big of a road trip. It was in my old 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee, which I love, but the thing needed so much work. It was such an old piece of junk. It barely got me out to Western PA. So maybe like my first 5-hour trip, I would say. And then on the way back, the thing just exploded. It just broke down middle of the highway.
Oh, no.
In Brooklyn. Middle of the highway, is oil everywhere. It's just like, I'm done. I'm done with this car. If I do this again, I'm getting an electric car. Then I bought my Tesla.
So Joe and I know a little bit of the story, but why don't you share for people kind of that next, and people that have been on the forum, they've read about your epic.
They read about it, yeah. So the thing about it, when I did that first road trip, it was freezing, and getting hotels was such a pain in the ass. Having to play all night, like 2 or 3 in the morning, go find a motel, some flea bag, rat trap, roach motel, some middle of nowhere, where all I'm doing is sleeping and then waking up, and just getting back out into the casinos again. So I realized at that time, if I wanted to get hours in, I was going to have to play elsewhere. And I knew I had the summer off coming up, and I wanted to find a car that was kind of stealth, but I could also go sleep in. And Teslas have a thing called camp mode, where you can run the air conditioning or the heat all night for free. And that was probably the number one reason at the time of why I wanted to get that car, because on road trips, you could just easily stay in it and be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I tried one night to sleep in my Jeep, and I froze my ass off. You just can't do it. I was bundled up, and you start the car, crank the heat, fall asleep. An hour later, you're waking up shivering. You start the car again, crank the heat. It did not work.
Yeah.
But the Teslas had camp mode, and then you combine that with the fact that they could drive by themselves, and I was hooked. And it's an amazing car. I love it.
I don't think you're supposed to tell people they can drive by themselves. That's not supposed to be is that right? That's not officially a perk.
Listen, when you're on a 400-mile stretch of road, and you put the car, it's not self-driving, but you put it in auto mode.
Yes.
And it'll keep the lane for you.
Totally. And it'll slow down when there's cars ahead of you.
It'll slow down, it'll speed up, it'll keep the speed limit.
Yeah.
It'll keep the lane. It drives better than I do. I trust it. At first, my hands were like, on the wheel, like holy shit, this thing's gonna take me off the road. But by day 2, I just had my feet up. I was listening to your podcast, watching movies, having lunch in the car. You totally trust it. So that was the main reason why I got the Tesla. I knew I wanted to play full-time in the summer. I knew I wanted to take a road trip. I love to travel. And, Blackjack is the perfect excuse to travel. So instead of me saying, oh, I burned through my local shops, now I have to travel, it was kind of like, no, now I get to travel. And now I get to travel with a purpose. And I want to see the country, and I'm going to see it, one small casino town at a time. So I got the car. I built a little platform bed in the back, took out the back seats, and bought blackout shades for all the windows. Got a little refrigerator for the back. And school ended June 25th, and I took off the next day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How complicated was it with charging?
I was freaking out, thinking I had these visions I'd be in the middle of nowhere and there'd be no superchargers anywhere. But literally, there were chargers, Colin, every like 20 miles, 30 miles they were charging. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And every casino had a charger.
Yeah.
So when I started the trip, I started in Western PA, and I soon realized that every casino I'm at had a supercharger. So I would just roll up, plug in, and go play.
So even if you lost, you got like 20, $40 worth of.
Even if I lost, I had a full charge when I came out, and most of the chargers were just right there, right by the elevator. Just and I thought they'd be full. A lot of times I was the only EV in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Once you get past inner city, New York, Philly, it's all like pickup trucks and gas guzzlers.
Yeah.
People are looking at me like, Dan, what is that thing? Like, how do you drive that thing? Like, what, they thought it was a spaceship or something. Like what you get out of the urban areas, and people have never seen Teslas before. It's kind of weird because we're all urban. You think, especially where you're at, Pacific Northwest, everyone's got one, but middle of the country, no one's got
Yeah.
them.
How often were those casino chargers free? Were they mostly free or?
All of them were free.
Oh, nice.
I thought I was going to get a bill from Tesla, but Elon never charged me. That was super beneficial for me on this trip.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, and your hotel was free. Like those are the
It was Hotel Tesla, and I slept like
Yeah.
a baby.
I mean, that's actually pretty remarkable, the amount of savings between gas and hotel.
When I did the numbers, it was over 13,000, 14,000.
Oh man.
I mean, just and then that's considering if you have to fly somewhere, rent a car, get a hotel, pay for gas. Yeah. And I didn't have to do any of that stuff. And the convenience of it was amazing, because rather than you play till 2 a.m, and then you just go right back to your car, black out the shades, fall asleep in the back.
Yeah.
So the first couple of nights, I was a little wary. I kept thinking something's going to happen. Someone's going to rob me. Someone's going to smash the windows in. And then nothing happened. And at first, the safest place that I could find to stay the night were campgrounds. Campground, you pull up, it's like $20 for the campground, super safe. I could plug into an RV electric outlet with my car and sleep right in the car, right in my camp spot. But then I realized that, I didn't even have to do that. I'm going to try and just sleep in the casino parking lots. And I didn't know if it was going to work. Trial and error. My first night, found a spot right in the parking garage, went to bed, woke up, nothing happened. And kept on doing that and doing that and doing that. And I just decided to stay in the casinos.
And you didn't have trouble sleeping in the casino parking lot?
But it depends. Sometimes I'd be in bed by midnight, and people are coming out drunk, hooting and hollering and yelling and screaming, and I got woken up a couple of times. Other than that, it was great. I realized the biggest thing when you're out in the middle of the country, you have to make sure the casino is a 24-hour casino. Some of them close down at 3:00 in the morning. So I forget where I was. I think somewhere Midwest, and I played till 2 a.m, went to sleep. And at 3:30 in the morning, it was my only knock that I got in the entire trip. Someone knocked. I'm like, oh shit, I got the knock. And I lower the window and I look around, the only car in the parking lot. They're all gone. There were 1,000 cars, and like, it was eerie. I'm the only one there. And the security guy was like, hey buddy, I know you're probably tired from playing. You got to keep it moving. I'm like, thanks, man. I drove to the nearest Walmart, slept in that parking lot. So that was the only hiccup that I had. Dealing with sleeping in casinos or sleeping in parking lots.
Did you ever wake up at 2 a.m. and be like, oh, I wonder what the true count is inside there?
Yeah. There were times that I was on hot streaks that I was just exhausted and I had to go to sleep, and I just could not sleep because you're amped. I slept better after a losing session.
Oh, interesting.
Than I did after
Wow,
a winning
that's
session.
interesting.
Winning session, I was amped up, had the adrenaline going, couldn't sleep, thinking about, God, I want to go back in there. But same time, kind of like, I need to get some sleep. What I was worried about was playing a good session and then worrying that they would rewind the tapes and then see me walk out to my car and then come out.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, I just won $5,000. Are they're gonna come see me? Oh, this guy's in his Tesla. He's sleeping in his car. But it never happened.
Interesting.
Did you just wait to shower like when you went to the campsites, or how did you do that? Or did you not shower the whole summer?
I had a lot of baby wipes, in the car. And I would shower at the campsites. Yeah. I would shower at the campsites. But other than that, I was kind of just roughing it, van laughing it, The thing about the Tesla, it's so stealth that no one assumes that you're living out of it, because it's not a van. And one security guy told me, he's like, yeah, we knew that you were staying in there, but we just didn't care, because not like you were in a van or an RV. We just figured that you were tired and just want to get some sleep. We don't care. RVs and vans can't even fit in casino parking lot garages, because the height clearance is only 6'6". So they don't worry about that at all.
Yeah.
He's like, we don't worry about that because the vans can't fit in here. And that's when I realized that, he's only thinking that vans are the only type of vehicle that people are kind of sleeping. So at that point, I never worried about that at all. About sleeping in the
guess
car.
one perk of not showering often is maybe you get a little bit more heads up blackjack.
I mean, I had a lot of deodorant, a lot of spray deodorant in the car too.
Wasn't there some famous story of someone on Tommy Highland's team? I think it was them. Someone that they like made themselves smell horribly so that they could get a table to themselves. There was some, valuable game and they needed to keep people off the table or something like that.
Maybe that's why I got so much heads up play. I don't know. No one on the trip ever mentioned it to me. So.
How did you determine like how much time you allowed yourself to sightsee and have fun, do fun stuff outside the casino versus playing?
Well, my rule of thumb was the casino 411 map was my roadmap. That was my roadmap for the trip. I would just go from one green dot to the next green dot, and then that was it. And my rule of thumb was, after I got backed off, I would go spend time in the town and meet people and talk to people. So when I would truth be told, I got backed off pretty quickly in most of these casinos. So it gave me a lot of time to explore the towns as well.
What?
But I think that travel for blackjack, if you're not going into the actual cities or towns and seeing things, you're kind of missing a lot of the point, a lot of the great stuff about driving around traveling.
Why do you think the backoffs were pretty quick? Do you think it was license plate? Do you think it was your style of play?
You got a Tesla with a surfboard on the roof and with New York plates. Then you got a loud, charismatic guy walking into the casinos, not trying to blend in. But that's just the way I am.
So you just went full.
I've learned to embrace the backoffs, and then after a while, I had pit bosses come up to me and say, we were looking forward to backing you off because we heard you were pretty funny.
That's awesome.
They asked me for my ID. I'd say, look, if you were this ugly, would you want to walk around with a picture of yourself? Come on. And they'd be like, you're not ugly at all. I'm like, well, thank you. What are you doing later? Let's go grab a drink. So I kind of, when you see 4 suits pull up behind you, you're either getting backed off or you're getting trespassed. So there's no need to say, what do you mean I can't play blackjack anymore? What are you talking about? So I just kind of said, hey guys, let me guess. Free buffet? Free show tickets? What's going on? And they'd be like, haha, very funny, but nah, you're too good. And I'd say, I'm horrible. Did you say that last play I did? I split tens? Who does that? So I kind of, when the backoffs come, I kind of get a leg up I turn the tables on them. and I start talking to them like, hey Bob, nice suit. If I were as good a shape as you, I'd get a fitted suit also. You work out, you diet. What's going on, man? Like, so like, I kind of stopped them in the tracks with that, and it's usually a very, very smooth back off from there.
So you embrace the full maximizer the whole trip, just
Full maximizer, unapologetically.
and
No cover.
what kind of bets?
Split tens, all the deviations, min to max. There was some places where the min was 5 and max was 500. I'd literally go from 5 and ramp up to on double deck especially. It can ramp up quickly. I'm going 2 by 300 from $5, and the dealer is just like, what? But that on a trip like this, you don't have to use cover. You're going like the way. I didn't even know if I was going to make it to California, because my rule of thumb was I'm going to go to a shop, stay there, live there until I get backed off. Some places took 2 hours. Some places one place took 6 days, and I crushed them, and I lived in their parking lot for 6 days straight. And I tell you, Colin, I wasn't leaving. I would have stayed there all summer, but I think I had 98 backoffs, and like not even 280 hours. So they came pretty quick.
When you were like planning the next place to go, I mean, it's not like all these casinos are in a straight line. Like how far out would you go? Because some of these are like, maybe 5 hours from the highway or something. So how would you plan that?
Oh, Joe, I was going far out. I started in Western PA, went to Cleveland, Indiana area, Chicago area, and then I went up the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, all the way up to the top. And there's this amazing island called Mackinac Island on the top of Michigan, where you got to take a ferry to get there. There's no cars on the island, just little shops and stores and all these crazy restaurants and museums. Beautiful, one of the most amazing places I've ever seen. But that's how far out of the way I would go to play. On the BGA map, it's not linear. It's kind of all over the place. So I would go far out. I think I ended up driving a total of 6,400 miles, which if there was a road from New York City to Mongolia, that would be the distance. That's how far I drove. But I would, when I went back and looked at the line of my drive, it was zigzagging all over the place, because I wanted to go up there to Upper Michigan. I wanted to go to Deadwood in the worst possible way, whether it's one of the worst places to play in the country, but I just had to go. And it was just, Old West, Wild West town, Wild Bill Hickok shows and old casino taverns. You feel like you're in the 1800s. It was just incredible. And I've never seen anything like that before. So I really wanted to look at the whole country. But that was my favorite part, that area, because it's just so unlike New York City. It's nothing I could compare it to at all. It's just beautiful. You got the Rocky Mountains and these desert Wild West towns, incredible. But of course, in Deadwood, I got like 10 minutes in the first place, and then I was public enemy number 1 for the rest of the trip. In Deadwood, I even just wanted to go into it just to look at a casino. They came running out. We saw your picture. We're gonna call gaming.
Yeah, I think.
And I'm like, gonna call gaming and tell them what? That I'm smart? Go ahead.
If I remember correctly, Deadwood was one of the first places to reopen. And so I think
the very first
like
place to
APs
reopen.
were flocking to it. So you might have gotten there when they were already panicking.
It was the first place. And listen, I had been training for 4 months. So I was
Yeah.
jonesing to go. I had my flight booked. And then the Connecticut places opened
Oh
up the
wow.
next day.
So did you ever play
But
rated, or did you play unrated the entire time?
unrated the
Did you
whole
have
trip.
any trouble cashing chips?
Just the usual,
Yeah.
let me see your ID. And in the beginning, I always said, look, I'm going through an identity theft case back in New York, and my lawyers have advised me not to show identification to anybody except for law enforcement. So I'm sorry, I can't show it. I just, this case is just too important. It has my personal address where my family lives. I'm just not going to show it. I'm sorry. And I don't think they like that very
Did
much.
any of them just refuse to cash you?
Never got
Good.
refusal to cash. In the end, I always kind of want a little bit of tug of war going on, but in the end, I kind of always, because on the entire trip, I was
Yeah.
nice to everybody. I was just so happy to be out there on this trip. I loved it so much that I was nice to everyone, and I never got into an argument with anybody in any casino. I just was like, oh yeah, no problem, man, no problem. Yeah, and they would say, oh, where you're from back east, what's it like? And I never really got any direct frontal confrontation from anybody. It was always pleasantries. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's just bad luck. You get the wrong person, but I wonder how much, how much drama can be avoided just by like the AP's attitude. Like you're yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a lot because I'm good at diffusing. Well,
Yeah.
you were
Briefly.
a teacher, right? You were a teacher. Briefly. You were reading your book while the class
That's right.
was
That's
doing,
right. I took the cover off Burning the Tables in Las Vegas.
They were doing worksheets. And look, I was reading your book while my class was taking tests.
That's
all right.
crazy.
So it comes back like, look, I'm reading Colin's book while my kids are taking a test. But I think that if you're a New York City school teacher, especially a middle school teacher, you could diffuse any situation. And you have to on a daily basis. And if you think card counting is stressful or Backoffs is stressful, try teaching. It's the perfect training ground. I'm also a coach, so I'm used to losing and having to fight my way back. It's the perfect training to be a card counter. But I'm just used to diffusing situations. I remember something you said one time: if someone's energy is really loud, obnoxious, you can't match that. You have to diffuse it, and I've learned to do that every day in my job, and I did that dealing with these pit bosses. Is like dealing with a kid because they're babies. They're babies. You're going to show me your ID right now. And I'm like, look, sorry, with all due respect, I'm just not going to show it to you. I'll comply. I'll play anything. I'm not going to open blackjack, but I'm going to cash my chips and I'm going to leave.
So going back to the road trip part, did you have a safe or just keep the money with you at all times?
I eventually made it to California, and I had like close to 6 figures on me. And I had no safe, which if they make, I would say to everyone out there, you want to go on a road trip like this, blackout shades, get the trifold mattress for the bed, get a little platform, make it comfortable, get a fridge for the car. That was super important. And if they make something, I don't know if they do, you could drill into the bottom of the floor, little safe. That was a must-have, but a good problem to have. Wow. I just kept the money on me at all times. But now I'm in California, and I want to surf for a week, and I'm not gonna bring 90 grand.
You don't want that washing up on the beach.
So for a week, I opened up a safety deposit box.
So I do know there's like little safes that can be installed in the armrest area. and there are like Joe, you installed it, had a safe installed in the trunk of the
Yeah.
car,
Yeah,
correct?
I had it bolted in the trunk. I don't know if I would do it on the Tesla. There's
Yeah.
way too many electrical components in weird places, but
Ooh. Yeah, there's got to be a solution.
I bet they'll think of
Yeah.
something. They thought of everything else.
Did you ever get stopped by highway patrol or anything?
I did
Oh,
in Iowa. Got pulled over, and she said, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I said, "Because I'm in a Tesla with New York plates with a surfboard on top." She's like, "Yeah, what? Where the hell are you going?" And I just came back from the Field of Dreams
oh wow.
movie baseball set. So I did the whole thing where I went inside the corn stalks, and I was like, "I'm melting, I'm melting," and it was amazing, amazing. And I got stopped shortly after that. She just couldn't figure out what I was doing. She's like, I don't get it. Then she's looking at the Tesla, and she's like, "Is this recording me right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're being recorded."
Yeah.
Probably. But I told her, I said, "Look, I'm on a cross country trip. I have the whole summer off." And
Yeah.
she let me go. But and then I said, "Look, if I was speeding, it wasn't me, it was my car.
Oh no.
It's an
Did you
auto
say that?
drive." So but I did. I don't think she was buying that. But again, when you're on these long stretches of road, just straight, but nothing. And I kept thinking, if I got stuck out here, I'm screwed. But there's just nothing. There's nothing for hundreds and hundreds of miles. It's so beautiful. I live in New York. I'm paying $3,000 a month for a studio apartment, and all of a sudden I see all this space. But for me, that was probably the closest in the trip that I've come to worrying I was gonna get a speeding ticket.
What was the favorite part of the country that you visited?
For sure, my favorite
Uh-huh.
casino town was Blackoffs, because it's just, again, Wild West, great games, and you have this mountainous region, but nothing but these old Western style casinos. And then California, by far San Diego, because I'm a surfer. On my bucket list was to surf the Great Lakes. So I drove to the dunes in Indiana, and there's a beach there. I've never been there. There's a beach on on one of the Great Lakes, and there were waves
Wow.
that day. And I grabbed my surfboard, got my wetsuit, go on the beach. I'm like, yes, bucket list. Lifeguards come over. They're like, "Look, buddy, we closed the beach down. Can't surf. I mean, you can't even go in the water." And look in the water. There's no one in the water. I'm like, "Dude, I drove all this way just to do this." And they were kind of like, "Nope, sorry, can't let you." So I was like, "All right." Started walking back to my car, turned around, just sprinted in the lake, jumped on the board. I screamed out, "Bucket list, one wave." One wave, man. I turned into Johnny from Point Break,
Yeah.
paddled out, caught this non-saltwater wave. And then I came out of the water. I had lifeguards, I had police come out, the deputy came out, sirens came on. I thought they were like, "Oh shit." We were talking and walkie-talkie, and like, yeah, I mean, that was probably the scariest moment of the trip. I thought I was gonna get arrested and thrown in some jail for surfing the Great Lakes. I was just like, man, I had to do it, guys. Come on, had to do it. And they eventually let me go, but there was a casino not too far from there. I think as soon as I walked in, they're like, "You got to go, you got to leave." I don't know if the Coast Guard radioed ahead. Be on the lookout for a blue Tesla, New York plates, red surfboard on top.
Hey, you do what you got to do when it comes to the bucket list.
Listen, I wasn't leaving there without a wave. And the surfing community and blackjack community are very similar in that both communities are tight, but they're
That's
not going to
right.
give
That's
up their
right.
secret spots to everybody. Like, hey, dude, how was that wave? You're like, it was awful. Don't go there. Kind of like blackjack. You know, you in the beginning, when you, and again, if you're new to BGA, I would suggest that a lot of people are just sending these blanket emails out saying, hey, where are the good spots? But it's better to, I've made some good individual friendships along the way. Shout out to burning down the house and splitting snowmen in the beginning. He was a mentor to me. He told me one time, doing this, it'll allow you to do things in your life that you otherwise wouldn't get the chance to do. And he was 100% right. I'm a public school teacher. Would never be able to go on these on all these trips and do all these things. So, I did have some mentors on there and some people that I've spoken to, but I think the community of BGA is the best part about it. People think it's the betting software and they think it's the roadmap, but the community I think is the best. You get a tough grind, a tough loss, you jump on there, and then you've got Nichols and all those guys saying, "Hey, look, this is part of the gig, buddy." Especially burn down the house. When I think I had a bad loss, I hear about. He's like, "What? I had a $500 losing streak. That was nothing." And then I'm like, "Okay, that kind of shuts you up, puts you in your place, And I met a lot of community members along the way on this trip.
Overall, you had a really good trip. Do you mind if I share some stats on your trip here?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so it looks like you drove about like 6,300 miles, visited 96 casinos, and of those 96 casinos, you had 91 backoffs, 5 trespasses, hours played at the table about 261, and then your AV was about a little bit more, 52,000. And your EV was at 57,000, so pretty close for.
Were you ever at a place and you're like, hey, they're not backing me off fast enough. I got to get moving and just push it a little harder?
I mean, I pushed it as hard as I could push it the whole trip. Like I said, it was one shop, play brazenly until they backed me off.
Yeah.
The very next shop, that was it. Yeah. That was it. So there was nothing in the way of cover at all. I'll tell you one funny story. In Kansas City, they can't back you off. So what they do is they'll put a sign up saying, this section, your table is max 25, min 25, max 25. Go to the next table, they'll walk over and say, hi everybody, this section is now min 25, max 25. Well, I went to a place on Saturday night and because of me, they shut down the entire section. All 8 tables were max of 50. Everyone's like complaining and crying, like, what the hell is going on? And then one pit boss kind of pointed to me, like that guy over there. So there was this bachelor party, and this guy's coming to me like, yo, dude, you from MIT, man? You're professional. You shut this whole section down, bro. And like, then all the friends came over and they're like, oh, I want to meet this guy. And we're all drinking, having a good time. And they're like, hey, we're having an after party at my house. Come by. So I was like, oh, man, I don't know. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Give me their address. I drive to their house, Kansas City, like 20 minutes away. I show up and they're like, there he is, 21 guy. Come on in. Like the whole party is like getting me drinks and I'm sitting down and people coming over to talk to me. And then one guy's like, I got a deck of cards, teach us. It's like 30 people, like just sitting there drinking, everyone's drunk. This guy's bachelor party.
That's incredible.
They want me to teach them how to count cards.
and you know what?
Like,
they're
what am I
telling
doing
this story
here?
Everywhere they go about how the bachelor party, some MIT card counter shows up and parties with them and teaches them how to count cards.
It was just funny because their friends would come over and someone else come over. They're like, yeah, we hate this casino. Good for you, man. Shut them down. Cost them money, bro. They're like, man, my last paycheck, dude, I lost.
You cost them money, but not the way that they thought. Like they don't know the economics of closing 8 tables because of one, you know, card. Yeah,
It just makes no
that's incredible.
sense to me at all. I'm like
Yeah.
my EV is like 160 an hour, maybe 200 an hour. I'm
Yeah.
how much am I costing you? Thousands an hour?
Yes, I went to
they shut down
I
the
went to
whole
see
section. The
Stephen
whole section.
Bridges, magician on our site. He spoke at the World Gaming Protection
Yeah, it's
Conference. I
great.
went and I watched him speak, and afterwards I'm talking with, all these casino people, surveillance room operators, whatnot. They do not know the math behind card counting. So they probably literally think you're just walking up to every table and taking them for thousands of dollars every shoe, and panicking about it. They just don't get it.
It, it was complete panic, and the people were looking up, and then eventually everyone knew it was me. So I got like these 20 of these guys wasted, and they're looking at me like, "You're the man. Teach us. Let me get your number." But it was funny.
The other thing that stood
It
out
was
to me
pretty
at
funny.
that thing was that there'd be these people that run surveillance rooms at casinos. They're like, "Oh, we don't get card counters here," and I'm like, "No, you just don't know how to identify them."
You do get them, and there were some local counters there too, who came up to me and they're like, "Oh man, we've never seen them shut down this entire." And my
Yeah,
bedspread's not that big.
yeah,
There are guys in the forum betting 3, 4, 5 times as much as me, so I just didn't get it. I think it was funny to me, but that those towns where they can't back you off, New Jersey is the same way. They shut down those tables like that. They bring that stupid red sign over with the max, and they're great. We're
yeah,
now making it the max,
yeah.
and everyone knows
They're
it's
so
because of
dumb.
you.
After you did this like really long trip, gained a lot of experience, like are there any tips or something that you would share to someone who would do the same thing, who would go on a long road trip?
I'm gonna say it'll be the time of your life, and you'll get the best games possible. It it'll just open your eyes to not just the entire country, but casinos, as much as we hate them, they can be unique in their own way. And there's a lot of special ones out there. You got huge casinos, then you got small shops in the middle of nowhere, and it's good to experience that.
Mm,
But you get the best games off the beaten path. That's all I have to say. The best games I found were the ones where six deck, pen, point 0.5, pen of one, great rules, double deck, cutting so slim you can't even see the back card. And the Casino 411 is
yeah,
invaluable, but don't always go by what's on there. A lot of times it would list the game as six deck, two pen, don't even bother, and you get there,
yeah,
and the dealer is just slicing it like an Arthur Avenue Bronx cold cut deli, super thin, and you're like, what happened to the two deck pen? This
yeah.
is amazing. A lot of times it's dealer dependent. It's dealer dependent. It's not casino
Yeah.
dependent. It's dealer specific where you go. You may have one dealer told me, "Babe, look, I hate this damn job. I'm quitting next week.
Well,
I'll
also
cut this as
casino
thin as you
conditions
want."
change constantly, and I'm pretty proud of Casino 411. It's over
Constantly, yeah.
90% up to date, but it's a moving target, a new casino manager comes in, or they say, "You know what? We're slowing the game down by cutting off too much." It would happen at our local, honeypot, where every month it would be different, how they were cutting it, and it'd get
Yeah.
bad, and we'd be like, "Oh no, it's ruined," and a month later, it's better than before. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I definitely want to go on the trip again. And I think everyone should do it.
Mm.
I think that the lifeblood of blackjack is travel. And you can't get that by flying to a city, renting a car, and just going around a little local area. Getting on the car, you're having a few months with nothing but the open road, like kind of the
That's
Jack
awesome.
Kerouac way of life. It's amazing. And nothing like waking up in a strange casino parking lot in the middle of a strange city and already being in your car
That's
and already
awesome.
hitting the road as soon as you get up. So
Yeah.
yeah, go out there, get it, you know, have at it. It's big country.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us, and we'll have to do a round two after your second summer road trip.
Anytime. Thanks for having me, guys, and thanks for everything.
Awesome. Thanks so much. We'll catch you on the forum.